Magandang hapon ho sa Manila Central. Nandito ako dami na po ng sa Metro Manila yung panahon natin. When I was still a member of Metro Manila, so I moved over to where I came from, Cagayan. Hindi ka ako. Anyway, good afternoon, and I hope that this presentation will provide you some kind of overview or profile of what contracts or what EPC challenges are. This topic has been, I would call it, I appreciate very much dahil I started presenting this ANC 2021 as a chair of the College of Fellows sa ating annual convention presentation. And it turned out na may mga, I heard, baka binubora lang ako. May mga nag-request daw ng mga members na kung pwedeng iulit in some other way. So, nung nagkaroon ng Metro Manila region, I was invited to. So that's the second series. This will be the third. And I'm again invited by the ANC 2022 to do similar one by November. So, nag-isip na ako, ano yung pinitwist ko ba doon sa EPC challenges nito. This time, yung first in ANC 21 is a full overview na I was only able to present half of the slides. Yung MNC, medyo finokus ko na. It basically, at that time, yung overview and requisites to be an entrepreneur. Now, I'm focusing closer, zoom in ko na. Contracts management na lang para mas focus yung pag-uusapan. So hopefully, we would like to cover today. Okay. Sorry. To cover EPC contract overview, because I'd like to start again with what is an EPC contract. And of course, contract risk management, how do you manage the risk? Okay, for the past two presentations, I've always started my presentation, what is an EPC? I hope by now, members have been at least being aware of what an EPC contract is all about. So again, bear with me, I'd like to brush to that. EPC is engineering, procurement, construction. It's a form of contracting arrangement where EPC contractor is fully responsible for all the project deliverables. Engineering, design, procurement, construction, commissioning, and over to the end user of the owner. Both. So there are three phases, engineering, procurement, and construction. And sometimes the need of the project requires material substitution, so you go back to the procurement. Or maybe the construction or the execution team requires a redesign of the methods and or whatever the execution requires. So, babalik ka sa engineering, i-redesign mo, then you jump all the way straight to the construction side para i-implement mo. The idea is the contractor takes more risks and take more responsibility in the design. Wherein, the legal framework, of course, is the owner binds the contractor to be responsible to engineer, procure, and construct the project or something in the contract with the project performance as a basis and the technical specification. Ang normal contracting code is merong tawag nila dyan, merong bill of items and bill of quantities and bill of works that normally is defined by the client. That yun ang i-deliver mo, yan ang install mo. In an EPC, the contractor designs the whole set, and that design is based on what we call a performance requirement. Ano yung magiging performance So, for example, a substation or a power plant or whatever electrical installation they want. Normally, the EPC applies to substations and power plants. Small, I mean, building works, it's more of the normal design and BQ and install. Madali yan. But when you are talking about, especially the mode that right now, maraming mga BSS, solar, power plants, and substations, grid connection facilities, it's now a design and build. Sometimes they call it design and build, or an EPC contract as a basis. The contractor na lahat ang bahala. Siyang mag-design, mag-integrate ng system and procure, buy the necessary equipment, and install and provision it. And by the time that the project is completed, meron ng specification performance. Like for example, it has to deliver 5 megawatts of output, 60 hertz at 13.8 kV or 69 kV. It doesn't matter. Define na yan. Pag hindi mo na-comply yan, then the EPC contractor is wasn't able to deliver the required performance and specification of the project. So, kailangan maliwanag yung performance level sa kailangan i-deliver mo bilang contractor. So the profile of the EPC contract or turnkey, sometimes they call it turnkey, single point of responsibility, lump sum payment, minimal cost, variations possible. Sabihin, halos kung ito yung piso, yung bayad mo sa dyan, 1 million bucks, 1 million na masisingin mo dyan, wala ka nang pwedeng singin pang iba. Pag nagkamali ka sa design, problema mo na yun. Nagkamali ka ng biniling materials, equipment, transformers, problema mo na yun. Pag nagkamali ka ng switch gear, short sa capacity ng KI, short, pinag-uusapan kanina yung cable, hindi tama yung cable specs mo, problema mo na yun sa contractor. So, the contractor now has more risk or pays more risks on the design, material, and work and delivery completion. Meron pang definite completion time. Pag tumagpas ka doon, problema mo na yan. Plant performance, ibig sabihin, it has to withstand what we call now a 40 kiloamp 3-second withstand rating of your switch gears or maybe 25 kiloamp interrupting capacity. Now, pinag-uusapan, ito po sa cable kanina, just want to make that as an example. Anong specification na shielding mo? Doon na i-specify mo sa cable mo for your main transformer to your switch gear. O halimbawa, 13 kV yung transformer output mo to your switch gear. Or galing sa power plant, 13 kV output, papunta sa 69 kV or whatever voltage sa the primary. Ano ang shielding mo na kailanganin mo doon sa cable? That is where you as the engineer has to be very particular about short circuit, ground and phase, so that you know exactly what cable are going to use and what kind of short time rating that you will have to specify in the cable. Normally, copper cables have already been designed with a certain short time rating. Kaya niya. Because they are considered bus bars. So withstand rating ang pinag-usapan dito, hindi yung kain. It's not the withstand, it's not the kain, it's the withstand capability of the copper or the bus bar. So importante yan na ma-distinguish nyo ang difference between the 3-second withstand and interrupting capacity. Interrupting capacity applies to the breaker. Anything that interrupts. But the withstand capability is for the bus or the cables that needs to carry the current from point A to point B. Pag hindi nyo na-withstand yan, sunugan yung shields mo o sunugan yung cable mo. Again, that cable experience kanina, topic kanina, what is the size of the shielding? Kailangan ng concentric, full shield yan na sinasabi nila, mahal yun. Now, it's up to you, the engineer, to make sure that your shield is not going to be burned. So how do you do that? You go back to your short circuit calculation to determine, predict, sabi niya kanina, may predict yung short circuit, yung fault current na dadaan sa shield. You can. Because you need to define that. In fact, it is the duty and the responsibility of the engineer to define the maximum allowable line ground fault that you will allow in a system. Responsibility of mo yun. It's part of EPC. Diyan nagkakaroon ng problema. So, nakatawa ko nila, you will have the responsibility under an EPC contract to determine the KA, phase to value, and the line to ground fault for withstand capabilities of your equipment. How do you do that? Balik ka sa short circuit current. And I hope we've been doing a lot of seminars for short circuit calculation. Pakitignan nyo, hindi lang yung face-to-face current. It has to be mas importante sa akin ang design engineer. What is the line to ground current? Because that's when you have a problem. Maliban sa shielding, maliban sa kable mo, maliban sa withstand rating ng mga bus bars mo, pupunta ka ngayon doon sa compliance mo ng IEEE 80. I hope you're aware of what IEEE 80 is, the system erecting design for safety consideration. The Philippine Electrical Code doesn't specify that. Kaya medyo tingnan nyo mabuti ito. Under your EPC responsibility, you are responsible for the safety of the operating personnel. And how do you comply to that? The only way you can comply to is comply with IEEE 80, not the Philippine Electrical Code. The only way you can comply is IEEE 80. You need to be able to calculate the step and thrust potential induced into the system because of line to ground fault. Mas importante po yun, hanapin natin. Okay? Now, the bottom line is procure the performance instead of the ion. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Pag bumili ka kasi ng switchgear, pag-deliver ka ng switchgear, basta ni-specify ng client, 13 kV, 630 amps, 2,000 amp bus, etc. Pag nagkamali si procurement of your client will not specify the withstand of the bus, you can give him the lowest withstand capability. But then, if you are the EPC guy, then you cannot get around that. You cannot get away with it because you now are delivering the switchgear that is not capable to withstand the available short circuit where you are applying the switchgear. So again, I always ask this when I do these lectures. What is the expected maximum short circuit current of the system? Without doing any kind of calculation. You should know that as an engineer. Titignan mo lang yung transformer source, alam mo dapat ang short circuit ng system. How do you do that? Maybe that's another set of topic that we discuss. Madali yan po, madali yan. You'll be surprised. Anyway, so huwag kayong matakot doon. Madali lang po. Work scope, EPC overview, right? Okay, deliverables and quality, procurement scope, owner, may supply equipment, defines construction scope boundaries. Price schedule. Overview ng kontrata ito ha. Ito yung mga importante, natignan nyo. The price schedule, the payment terms, change in contract elements. Work scope, nagbagong scope, nagbagong law, baka mamaya, sabi nila, bawal na ganito. Apektado yung kontrata. So change ito yan. Environmental. Ibig sabihin, suddenly the Philippine structural code ba tawag na doon requires a certain area in the Philippines now to be under what we call 280 kilometers per hour. Kaya ang design mo lang is 168 o 165 because nasa Palawan yung project mo. Suddenly, they are required Palawan to be under with the Leyte Samar area category, category 5. Mindanao used to be only like 165, like Bislig, South Surigao, and all that. Now they are now elevated to about 200 kilometers because of the experiences of Ondoy and the other one. Yolanda. I'm sorry, Yolanda and the next one, tumama naman sa Surigao thereafter. And because of this, yes, why are we talking about wind speed? Kasi ikaw ang EPC. Pag ikaw kung substation at sa transmission line, kasama yan sa problema mo. So it's not just electrical issues. Halimbawa, contractor ka ng linya at EPC contractor ka ng substation. Kasama na yan yung wind speed ng problema. Because you now have to make sure that your structures are going to withstand whatever that is the wind category of your area. So alam mo dapat kung ano yung mga wind category. So, ating pinag-usapan yung structural condition. As the professional engineer, electrical engineer po, kailangan nyo na alam niya. Mamaya, pag-usapan natin sa makina, kung makina yung pag-usapan natin. You need to understand the engines also, no? Kasi kailangan nasa power plant ka. So, these are the things that comes around an EPCO. But I always do that. So, mamaya, dito na kayo. Time schedule. Okay ba? Time schedule and Liability limitations, of course, yun yung ibang kailangan tingnan nyo sa what are the levels of time schedule? L1 to L5. I'm sure you know this already. L1 are your masters, executive summaries. L5 is short term, day to day. But the normal project coordination that you will, normal schedule you will have is L3. Ito yung pang project coordination na during the beginning. So, from L1 to L3, now L5, dapat alam mo gawin yan as an engineer. Kailangan kamisado mo yan as the EPC contractor. Otherwise, tubog ka sa schedule mo. Pag hindi mo papantayin yan. Then, that comes also, konektado na dyan yung liability limitation. Limitation liability. There are two. Schedule as well as equipment performance. Remember, you are now responsible on the output or whatever performance of equipment that you deliver. Or a substation or power plant. Dalawang bagay yan. Dalawang tama mo. Schedule as well as performance liability. They will penalize you on the delay of schedule, normally 1/10 of 1% of the contract price. Based on contract price daw. Lahat ng kontrata na nakikita mo, ipipilit nila yung contract price, yung delay mo sa schedule. Why is it nila? The real delay is kunti na lang. But bakit buong kontrata ang basis ng penalty mo? Well, you argue against your client. Always work for the unbalanced or undelivered project. Kasi yun naman hindi mo na-deliver. So yun dapat ang penalty. Only if you are to mitigate yourself. So it's very crucial to understand that liability. Otherwise, sabog yung kontrata mo. Equipment performance, pag hindi ka, lalo sa power plant, you're required to deliver 8 megawatts. How many units? Bahala ka. But then you have 8 megawatts. You have to consider also, lalo sa power plant, yung temperature, lalo na yung gensets, temperature of application mo, basis of temperature ng performance sa makina mo, o ilang makina, at N-1 ka. If you're guaranteeing 8 megawatts, are you required to do an N-1 condition? Kasama sa kontrata yan, kasama. Hindi lang sabihin yan, malalay ka ng spec. Kuminsan, hindi na sabihin niya. But yun mga klaro mo. For example, I'm sure you already have been installing one way or the other transformer or a genset. Ano ba yung magiging performance issues niya sa transformer mo na? Ano magiging performance issue niya? Well, can you base, but ano ang magiging posibleng contractual obligation niya na tatamahan ka? To make sure, alam mo, yung basis of the capacity of the transformer. And if you're not careful, ANSI transformers are based on what temperature? IEC transformers, design transformers are based on what temperature? The wide difference between the two. So, yari ka dyan, pag hindi mo nakita yan. Pero bawa yung transformer is kasapal. Tawag ko dyan, isisinghap-singhap, punong-puno. At between the two transformers, IEC and ANSI standard design transformers, may problema na. Because IEC design transformers are based on 25-degree ambient temperature. American are based on the 40-degree ambient temperature. Mas yung 10 MVA, the American standard is bigger than the 10 MVA IEC. Remember that. Most transformers will say, no, pareho lang yan, maker na. Pareho lang yan. I agree. But when you are at the levels of the load, you deliver 10 MVA. Yan makakaroon ng problema. Yung ambient temperature condition. Makina ka natin, genset. What is the basis of genset ng mga capacity ng mga gensets? Binibili mo, like from Monarch, or the Caterpillar, all the brands that you can think of. They are all based on 25 degrees. Saan mo nag-operate yung generator mo? 33 degrees o 30 degrees, 20 degrees. Saan ba yung planta mo? Saan ba yung planta mo? Pilipinas, ano ang dapat ambient temperature ng Pilipinas? Nagagamitin po for design purposes of output. Ang tawag namin dyan yung output at the site. Not the design output. Diyan ka mayayari sa limitation of performance. Patay ka dyan. Pag hindi mo nakita yun. Malaki ang difference between the 25 degrees centigrade, 60% RH, and ISO fuel as the basis of the design of a genset. When you apply that into a Philippine condition, where the fuel heating value is less than the ISO fuel, so ergo, mas maliit ang output ng makina mo.
Kasi lesser yung heat value ng fuel ng Pilipinas against the IS fuel. Plus temperature, plus humidity or RH. Lahat yan contributes to a lower output of the generator or the genset. And if you're not careful, sabit ka sa equipment performance mo. And for example, sumabit ka na doon. The normal reliability is yung undelivered capacity mo. For example, generating company yan. At it will deliver X capacity for the next 25 years. At short ka ng 500 kilowatts doon sa output na gusto ng client. 500 kilowatts times 8760 hours of the year times 25 years times whatever selling capacity, selling rate niya, 10 pesos per kilowatt hour. You, in that present value mo, maybe 10% MPV rate mo. Yun ang penalty mo. That's huge, my friend. That's huge. Isang plata, babayaran mo. Panibago. Baka mamaya buong plata libre. So, very crucial ngayon yung sizing mo ng makina mo. Yung recognition on the performance parameters of your equipment. So, as an EPC contractor and design reliable, problema mo yan. And by the way, again, what is supposedly the ambient temperature for the Philippines in sizing na genset? Ano dapat ang gamitin mo? What is our annual average ambient condition? Minimum 28, maximum is 35 or 40 maybe, 35. But anong ambient average? Sa akin, ginagamit ko 33 degrees, hindi ko 30, hindi ko 28. If you're talking to a mechanical engineer, they design their cooling system based on 28. Kaya kung minsan kabos yung air conditioning system, that 28 ang ginagamit ng average time. No, hindi po. 33 ang Pilipinas. So remember that. Pag yan ang ginamit mo sa corrective factor mo ng generator mo, you will be surprised that the ISO rating with genset is almost the site rating of the genset is almost about 85-80% only of the ISO rating, especially for heavy fuel engines, and especially for high-speed engines. Lalo na ginagamit ninyong standby. Malaking pagkaiba po yung relatively yung temperature, malaki ang impact niya sa performance ng makina. So under this provision ng EPC, laglag ka. Pantayan na yan. So yun.
Hello, hello. Hello.
Okay na. Kumusta sa? Kumusta?
Naka-zoom na.
Naka-zoom naman ito. So,
Yung mic na lang.
Wala,
Ang
wala
mic
sa-
niya,
wow.
zoom na lang na.
Meron kayo later. So, meron kayo later.
Yung sa akin na lang.
Meron ako.
Meron na. Meron po pero nag-jar po.
Okay, for a moment na po to all online pages. To our online audience, meron na po bang sounds from the speaker?
Ay, hindi siya naka-unmute.
Yes, okay, okay.
Pastay.
Oh, well. Sayang, kawawa naman muna. Sound check. Sound check. Sound check. Oh, okay. Sound check, sound check. Sound check. Kumusta? Meron bang sound?
Yeah, meron po.
Sound check, sound check. Sound check. Okay.
Yeah,
check.
meron na, meron na.
Meron sound check, sound check. Sound check. Okay.
Better.
Salamat, idol. Salamat, idol. Andiyan ka pala. Okay.
Nakikinig ako sa iyo eh.
Salamat. Si Mr. Lopez, nakikinig. My idol. Okay, so sorry sa mga nasa online. Sorry sa mga nasa online. Para dito sa audience dito. Para sa mga nasa online, pasensya na po. Habol na lang kayo. Okay, moving on. The other contract issue, of course, that you need to bantayan or take a look at, of course, insurance. There are several insurance requirements of a client. Depende kung sino yung kliyente mo. And normally, these are the construction all risk or carry, erection all risk. The difference between the two is construction all risk. Normally, civil works lang yan. Yung erection all risk is machinery, pipe works, and equipment installation. So as an electrical engineer, you are more of the EAR, erection all risk. Construction all risk, kasi kung saan, kailangan ng carry. No. Ang kailangan mo bilang electrical sa substation is basically an all risk, erection all risk. Kasi equipment yung tinatayo mo. Yung pundasyon, maliit lang yan. Wala ka naman magiging liability dyan. Ang risk mo dyan is yung equipment mo. Pag nahulog mo yan, pagbuhat mo, yan ang risk yan. So, kailangan bantayan mo yan. Kung malaki equipment na like transformer. Well, I've experienced, nahulugan kami ng 20 MVA transformer. Buo, bumaon yung kalahati. Dahil it happened during the first few days of Asian Brewery. That's long time ago. Hindi pa kayo pinapanganak. Yung first substation ng Asian Brewery, nahulog yung transformer sa lupa. Bumaon yung tagiliran, yung buong transformer. Sa gilid niya, kita namin, kalahati na lang yung nakikita namin sa transformer. Bumaon talaga. And these are all risk erection. Kailangan meron ka as the contractor. Professional liability insurance, medyo lumalabas na to. I've seen contracts or terms of references now that requires a professional liability insurance. Ano po yan? Project-specific coverage for the design and construction professional which covers the breach of duty. Halimbawa, ikaw ay design engineer, hindi ka nag-deliver design mo. Siyempre, ako naman, contractor ako, kukuha ako ng inhinyero, i-require kita, i-guarantee mo yung design mo sa akin. How do we cover that? Ikaw naman as engineer, nagkamali ka, ang gagawin mo? Sabit ka, muha ka ng professional liability insurance. As the contractor naman, ako, EPC contractor, i-require kita. Kasi may tawag doon, may risk ako sa likod ko. Pag yan design na yan, nagkamali, sino ang habulin ko as the contractor? Siyempre, meron din ako bibit-bitin na, sige, magbayad ka dahil kulang design mo eh. So, bilang di-design engineer, pirma ka ng pirma, be careful because naandyan na yan. Professional liability insurance. Madugo yan. Yung mga pirma ng pirma dyan. They are now required by large installations. Most of these professional liability lumalabas sa mga BSS ngayon. Because very crucial ngayon yung design ng BSS fire protection system. In any BS system in the world, the most recent or 90% of the fire are caused not by electricity but by the battery, yung temperature ng battery. Doon nasusunog. So, kung minsan mali ang design ng cooling system. Hindi na electrical engineer yun, pero baterya na sunog. So you better be careful about that too. Pero marami na. I'm sure you've already been involved with BSS around this country. And luckily, we're now there in the middle of it. So
we hope that this can be also be propagated to the other engineers. Force majeure. Noong araw, acts of God, force majeure na yan. Pag ikaw ay nagkaroon ng strike and force majeure na yan, hindi na po. Marami nang hindi tinatanggap na unforeseen events na hindi na pwedeng i-charge as force majeure. Bilang di contractor, bantayan mo yan. Ano ang definition ni client mo yung mga allowed force majeure or unallowed force majeure? Meron na sila niyan. So be careful what they define to be as allowed force majeure or unallowed force majeure. Pandemic, of course, it has not been defined in any of our contracts, but we call it a fortuitous event wherein you cannot predict the result and or how much time impact on you pagdating sa time schedule. Well, luckily, that is a defense that we can use nung pumasok ang COVID. Kasi in a force majeure, especially when you claim insurance, you claim a additional time of your delivery, madali ma-penalize ka na sa delivery. You can bring in a force majeure, but there is also a method to claim force majeure. I-define din ng kontrata yan. So be careful with how they specify to claim a force majeure. Meron very specific to claim force majeure. Hindi lang basta, na-delay kami because of this and that. No. You have to make sure that that force majeure is qualified before you can even claim it. At the same time, you have to show what you call it, the diligence like a father to a daughter. That you have done your part to prevent the event happening. Yung clause na due diligence of a father to a daughter, madugo yun, cuts all yun. Ibig sabihin, kailangan parang tatay ka. Nung project mo. So, protect the interest of the client like you protect your daughter. Yun ang kanyang sabihin. So, tignan nyo yung mga clause na ganyan. Okay? Well, at the end of the day, pag hindi kayo nagkatugma ng client mo, dispute resolution ka. ADR, or we call it Alternative Dispute Resolution Law of 2004, which provides you, or R8-9285, which provides the contractor and the client a venue to resolve their differences, contractual differences outside the normal courts. Mas mabilis to. Pag nag-submit ka ngayon, maybe about 6 months tapos na yan. Nagka-resolve na yan. May payaran na. Kung sino yung naniningil, sino yung sinisingil, sino yung whatever. Normally naman kasi yan, at the end of the contract, is either hindi ka nasingil because tinira ka ng liabilities as a contractor, so you file for what you call that, to recover that lost revenue through an ADR system. Otherwise, and you have to make sure, like for example, in this case, na-delay yung kontrata mo during the pandemic, you can use the pandemic as a reference. Kasi hindi mo ma-predict kung saan kailan. Kasi pag nag-declare ka ng force majeure, hindi mo nagawin trabaho mo, ang requirement ng force majeure, you will be required to, na-delay ako, but I need 10 days more. I need 20 days more. But during this pandemic, you will never know kung saan matatapos yung pandemic. So you will never know the output, the end of that, we call it event that will impact your schedule. So luckily, pag yun ang mangyayari, alam na ng mga abogado yan. So i-limit ka na doon. Babantayan ka, sasaraduhan na nila yung butas na yun. Baga. So abangan mo na yung mga bagong kontrata na may sarado na yung claim mo against pandemics. Lalagyan nila ng hurdles yan. Kung ikaw, yung kontrata naman, yung client naman ang gagawin ng kontrata. By the way, before I proceed, kung ikaw may papasok ng EPC contract, rule of thumb, ikaw magsusulat ang kontrata mo. Don't allow the other party to write the contract. Ikaw magsusulat. Kasi ikaw yung contractor eh. Then they will have to negotiate against your term. Nga pala. They will have to negotiate against your term. Pag ikaw pinabayaan mo yung kontrata, yung client mo nagbigay ng kontrata sa'yo, then you are negotiating against his term. Patay ka na. Naghahabol ka na lang. But you have to make sure na meron ka nang nakahandang kontrata na you're happy with. Yun ang isang recourse na kailangan mo. Okay. Extension of time. Ito. yung sinasabi ko kanina. Change in scope, occurrence of a force majeure, suspension order by given by the owner, owner's default on contractual responsibilities. Dito ako mag-focus. Owner's default on contractual responsibilities. You have to define when you get your money, yung payment mo sa kontrata. Kailangan bayaran ka within 30 days, 45 days, or never. Pag hindi niya binayaran doon sa oras na gusto mo, you can cite that as a contractual breach by the client and should qualify for extension of time. Kasi may responsibilidad din sa sayo eh. May mga kontrakto, mga client na ayaw ko na lang bayaran. 90 days, hindi ko pa binabayaran. Ay, hindi pwede yun. O, paano ka naman? Di ba? So you have to make sure that you define and make sure na nandun yung close na 30 days from the submittal of what? Maglagay ka ng time from the submittal of an invoice, from the approval of the invoice, or from the approval whatever. Maglagay ka ng time frame. So meron kang dapat ang tawag doon milestone events that has to happen so that your clock starts to count before you can get your money. And normally, submission of invoice, submission of your progress report, approve or not approve. Kung minsan sisingitan ni kabilang client, approve progress report. Siyempre, di ka pa magpapa-approve ngayon. So, responsibilidad mo ngayon. So, now, kailangan din, pag yun ang siningit na sa'yo, lagyan mo din ng time limit yung approval time niya. Within 7 days, approve or approve, deem approve yan. Yun din ang balik mo. Why ka? Balik pa mo ng provision. That is how you should handle that. Otherwise, papatayin ka talaga niyan. From approval of the progress report, yung engineer niya nagpunta ng abroad, nagbakasyon, hindi wala nga ng approval. Hindi ka na mababayaran. So, pag nag-submit ka ng progress report, 7 days thereafter, they should approve or disapprove your report. And from there, they should pay within a certain period of time. Otherwise, deem approve or deem ano lahat yan. Yung clock mo tumutuloy. Yun mga binabantayan mo under the EPC contract. Patay ka dyan pag hindi mo nakita yan. Okay, suspension. Well, the others, walang problema yan. Change in law is straightforward. For example, nagkaroon ng batas na that will impact your schedule. You can quantify that particular impact to your schedule and you can ask for an extension of time. Any reason which is not predicted in the time of award the contract. Any reason, yes. Ang tawag ko din ngayon is you create the paper trail. Kailangan sulat ka ng sulat. Sulat ka ng sulat. May nangyari sa'yo, sulat ka ng sulat. Hindi ka lang nakatawid ng ilog, sulat ka na. Hindi ka lang nakaganon sa isang transmission line, for example. Naranasin na magawa ng transmission line. Umakyat sa bundok, hindi ka nakadaan, pinadaan ng may-ari ng lupa, nagagawin mo. Force majeure event ka sa agad, hindi ka nakakyat eh. Kasi, don't ever take the responsibility of a right-of-way acquisition in any kind of project. Dahil you'll never get it as a contractor. Dapat responsibilidad ni owner yan. So, never take the ROW responsibility. So, pag hindi ka nakadaan, nakapasok sa pupuntahan mo, force majeure event na yan. Sulat ka ng sulat. Force majeure event yan. So, yun yung mga kontrata na kailangan bantayan. Ayun mga provision ng kontrata na mga bantayan mo. Suspension, siyempre straightforward. Sinuspend yung trabaho because the client doesn't want, may mga issues yung construction, issues yung client, fine. And dapat may corresponding extension yan. In case of resumption of the contract by the employer after suspension, the contractor will be eligible for time extension. Yeah, straightforward yan. But bantayan mo. Of course, bantayan mo lang ang provision ng kontrata mo. Termination. Okay, contractor's default. Straightforward, bankruptcy, insolvency, work assignment without owner's consent. Yung works assignment without, ibig sabihin, nagpa-subcontract ka na hindi mo sinabi sa owner or client, employer mo, ayari ka dyan. You need to be able to get a pre-approval from the client kung ikaw ay magsasubcon or sublet. Failure to execute the contract, normal yan. Failure to commence work at specified time, normal yan. Kailangan naman hindi ka gagalaw. No? But then, bakit hindi ka gumalaw? May mga rason din yan. Walang construction permit, walang access to the site. Sulatan mo ang konsulatan ng client mo. Bakit hindi ka makagalaw? Okay, owner's convenience. Meron mga owner that terminates the contract kasi walang dahilan. Ayaw niya na yung magbumukha mo. For example, bayaran ka. Ano problema? Bayaran ka doon sa nagawa mo, but then make sure when you are already committed to pay, nakabili ka ng mga gamit, nakapag-place ka na ng mga orders sa mga equipment, at parating na, na-terminate yung kontrata mo, anong gagawin mo? That under that contract, all outstanding liabilities that are now been committed and you are due to be financially impacted has to be paid. Kailangan nandun yun. Pag hindi mo sinabi sa kanya yun, pati yung transfer ng parating, hindi niya babayaran sa'yo. Patay ka na, di ba? Hindi mo masisingin. So yun yung mga yun. Honest convenience yan. Isan, ano itong honest convenience na to? Ayaw na project. Pero paano yung mga parating na equipment ko? But nakakommit ka na. So you have to prove that you have already issued the PO, you have paid the down payment, that they are supposed to be delivered X months, days thereafter, that they have to pay that under this contract. Otherwise, ano gagawin mo? Hindi naman ibigay mo sa kanya, deliver mo sa kanya. Okay. Oops. Ising pa kayo. Engineering and design. Okay. Ano ba yung title niyan? Risk and management. Of course, engineering risk. Site-related parameters, material specs, short quantity, compliance to codes and standards, design approval lead time. I hope you can relate immediately to design approval lead time. Kailangan alam mo kung gaano magtagal mag-approve si client ang designs mo. Kasi on an EPC, clients require approval of design and or equipment specification, material specs. So kailangan isama mo yan doon sa lead time mo. And kailangan mabilang yan how much time you need for a drawing to be approved. Ang ginagawa namin is within 7, 15, 20 days, doesn't matter. When we submit the drawing X day, within 10, 15, 20 days, if the client did not act, it's deemed approved, and that's it. Any change from the drawing, change order na yan. Variation na yan. So, bantayan mo yung approval of lead time mo. Compliance to code standards, straightforward. Ano ba ang codes and standards na kino-comply mo? Kasi in any EPC, you have to define your deliverable. Yung kable mo ba in accordance to IPCA or anong standard? Yung switchgear mo ba in accordance to IEC 60 something? Your transformer in accordance to C57? You as the EPC contractor must define that. Otherwise, hahanapin sa iyo ano yung performance na ano magiging ayoko yan dahil ganito gusto ko eh. Ay hindi, ito yung kontrata natin. C57 or IEC 60 something, 706 kung kinakailangan. And most transformers being delivered in the Philippines right now are based on IEC 6076 yata. Puro IEC na. At the same time, you also have to define your CAIC, your bus settings, your withstand ratings of equipment, or and at the same time, insulation level, your three-phase distance, the levels of insulation. Kasi, for example, what's the difference between a 17 kV and a 13.8 kV as far as the Philippines concerned? Kasi 13.8 tayo. Bakit si IEC nagdi-deliver ng 17 kV breakers or switchgears? Bakit? Bakit hindi niya deliver 13.2? Kasi IEC cannot comply with the 13.2 kV BIL rating. Only 11 kV kaya niya, 12 kV. So, yun ang dahilan kung bakit. But they can insist on it. Kung hindi ka specific yan. So, IEC will have to deliver, or IEC made circuit breakers or switchgears have to deliver 17 kV rated to comply with the BIL at saka yung three-phase distance. Chinese made circuit breakers also, for example, 69 kV. They cannot comply with the 69 350 kV BIL because their design is 66 kV. Hindi nila kayang abutin yung 350 kV BIL natin. So they will deliver to you a 125 kV BIL, 125 kV rated voltage equipment. Ay, lalaki. Ang lalaki ng mga Chinese equipment na darating kuminsan. Because of the three-phase as well as the BIL installations. Okay. Material specs, cable, pipes, A53 or stainless 306, 304, and 316. Kailangan yan nandun sa kontrata. Pipeworks or pipes has to conform with ASTM B16. Pipes, A53 or 316, whatever, it has to be specified. Ano yung codes compliance mo? And pag yun kasi nilagay mo, at your pipes are certified to be under certain, or cables or switches certified to be under a certain code, you're supposed to be compliant. Supposed to be compliant. Eh kung pag hindi naman naging compliant, habulin mo si equipment supplier mo, which is either for Siemens, Switch, Schneider, or whoever they are. Procurement, material, and equipment supply. Incoterms, what the Incoterms? Xworks, EW, free alongside, na-deliver sa pier, hindi nakakarga. FOB, nakakarga. CNF, nakakarga na. Freight paid, pero walang insurance. CIF, cost and freight insurance kasama. Marine insurance. DAP, delivered at site. Wala pang bayad ang CDTs or customs tax and duties. DDP, duties paid, delivered. There's a different standard payment terms ang equipment mo. Pag hindi mo nakikita yan, pag nag-deliver sa iyo, nag-quote sa iyo si equipment supplier mo, baka FAS or EW lang, yung cost from the shop to the port and port to Manila port ay nasa sa iyo na as a supplier, as a buyer. So careful with that because a lot, especially the Chinese, they'll quote you Xworks. Pag hindi mo specify na CIF Manila yan or whatever na kailangan mo. But between CIF and DAP, DDP, local yan. The client normally naman requires a DAP or a DDP. Depende naman sa gusto niya. Kailangan, yung equipment na to, palibawa, ang project nasa Iloilo, Manila Port ang clearing mo, Cebu Port, from Cebu, all the way to Iloilo, ikaw may magdadala noon. Ikaw ang hustler, ikaw ang tracking, lahat-lahat. I-deliver mo. But they will pay the CDT. Pag ganon. So, be careful. Talo ka dyan. Nasa 25% of your cost. Pag nakalimutan mo yan. Construction risk, of course, execution, schedule, closure. How do you know? Madaling magsimula ng kontrata. Madaling mag-construct. Maraming engineers or contractors hindi marunong mag-close ng kontrata. Ano yung mga closure requirements mo? Ano yung mga dapat mong i-submit? Ano yung mga dapat mong calculated na i-prove that you have? So, normally, as we practice these EPCs, we submit what we call an EPC completion report wherein nakasummarize lahat doon yung compliance mo. It's basically your design rewarded into a compliant or a complete report. So nandun na yung mga progress schedules mo, photographic references mo, yung mga dineliver mo, tapos na yung planta mo. But the specifications of your equipment nakatas na rin to prove that you have already complied with all your commitments, yung deliverables mo. So that's one. Closure, O&M, tools list, spare parts list, as-built plans. Critical lang. And of course, kung ano pang hahanapin ko sa client, kung kailangan ibabato niya sa yung responsibility to secure and secure the acceptance of NGCP sa kanyang high voltage equipment, yari ka na. You have to make sure that NGCP signs off on that particular equipment. Yung we call it the Certificate of Connection and Energization. Kailangan may kopya ka noon, paper mo na accepted na yung equipment mo. Kasama yan sa problema mo. Okay, monitoring control reportorials, straightforward. You need to report, you need to monitor, you need to control. Material works and quality specific compliance, yan. Yung mga meal certificates ng bakal, pipes and everything. War and or terrorist attacks. Oops. Normally, hindi naman tayo ganun ka-problema dito. Environmental events. Okay. Dapat sa force majeure papasok yan na pag tinamaan ka ng Ondoy o tinamaan ka ng Yolanda, you have to have a certain recourse as a contractor. Health and safety hazards and pandemic. Yan, papasok ang COVID. Force majeure. Another one. No? Sulat ka ng sulat. Force majeure ka ng force majeure. Para baka you buy time for yourself. Pag hindi mo nagawa yung gusto mo dahil hindi mo kasalanan, sulat ka agad sa client. Another FEN, force majeure FME, force majeure event. We call it force majeure event. So, i-define mo yun. Kanina, sabi ko nga, i-define mo how to declare a force majeure. Okay? Engineering and design risk, access of right-of-way, topo map, geotechnical flood slides, site recon, kailangan puntahan mo yung site. Hydro, for example, gawa ka ng hydro plant. Hindi mo pinuntahan ng site. Yung pala 3 tulay ang kailangan ayusin mo. Paano ka ngayon pupunta doon? Paano mag-deliver equipment? Alam mo, you are the hydro equipment supplier. 3 tulay pala yung tatawirin mo bago ka makarating. You know, those things. Undertake detailed survey topo mapping, determine possible flood levels, para naman hindi malunod yung planta mo. I've seen a Swiss yard na nalunod. Dahil Doon nga dito, yung kalsada pababa, yung galing sa bundok, run off, pupunta sa kanya. Nandun pa. Malulunod yun, sigurado. Hindi niya tinignan yung kanyang flood levels. The potential landslide areas as input, of course, slope protections issues and all that. Material specs, correct and adequate engineering design calcs, reference to material standards, international materials. Sa AGMM, ANSI, IIEC, doesn't matter. But you have to define kung ano yung mga material specs mo. Short estimates, inadequate or short quantities. Mali survey mo, mali QS mo, mali design, or kulang yung oras ng pag-estimate. So, kontrolado mo lahat yon as the contractor. Nandun lahat sa control mo yan. Short lead times and design approval if required. Ayan, may front-end engineering. Halimbawa, gusto niya by 30 days, tapos na tayo engineering design mo. EPC yan. So, meron ka tinatawag na provision for pre-engineering bago ka magsimula ng countdown. Maghingi ka ng pre-engineering time bago magsimula ang countdown mo. Pwede 'yon. You don't get a down payment, meron ka lang notice to proceed, you don't get a down payment, you do your pre-engineering, then once you get down payment, tapos engineering mo, kalahati, then you count yourself kung medyo masikip yung engineering and design lead time mo. Procurement risks, international terms of payment, production drawings, meron pa. Yung approval ni supplier mo. Halimbawa, sabi niya, I can deliver you switchgear in 10 months. But meron siyang small prints doon sa baba. Not inclusive of approval, drawings approval. Period. Normally, for example, switchgear, transformer. Meron yan 1 week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, komisyon na design approval. And I have all these equipments from China. My experience is that design approval takes me 4 weeks bago makapag full cycle. I-submit niya ngayon sa akin, comment ako, kahit kinabukasan, ibigay ko sa kanya, before they acknowledge that the drawings or they are ready to commence the work. Kasi kasama dyan yung down payment mo. Drawing approval and down payment, receive time payment, blah, blah, blah. So it takes you about 2 weeks to minimum to 4 weeks before they say, aha, my 5 weeks, 8 weeks delivery starts. So, kailangan aware ka yung prior to that. So, kalimbawa, they deliver to you in 20 weeks, plus 4 weeks ka agad doon sa approval process, ordering process mo, plus yung lead time sa delivery. Kung yung sinasabi niya, 8 weeks, FOB lang yun because hindi naman niya responsibility yung mag-ship eh. Sabi niyo, yung problema ng barko yan. Kahit CIF ang presyo niya. You're supposed to bring to Manila Port. Yes, but I cannot control the ship. So, ikaw naman sa contractor, lagyan mo na ng oras yun. Pag galing sa Europe and everything, 4 weeks. Galing sa China, 2 weeks. Then pagdating dito, clear mo sa customs. Ilang linggo yan? It used to be 1 week ang clearing ng customs. Ngayon, 2 linggo. China used to be 1 week ang delivery. Ngayon, 2 linggo, 3 linggo. And from Europe, used to be 3 weeks. Ngayon, 1 buwan, 45 days. Because of the shipping issues. I'm sure you're aware that the shipping situation in the world is already getting worse. So yun yung mga, it directly impact to your schedule, yung commitments mo. Wrong or short shipments, mali specification mo. Or, nangyari sa akin, dineliver sa Vietnam yung aking disconnect switches. Nangyari na sa akin yan. Galing sa China. ABB China, the biggest company in the world you can get. Dineliver ba naman yung 7 switch, disconnect switches ko sa China, sa Vietnam, at dinala sa akin yung pupuntang Vietnam, nagpalit. Yung dinala sa akin, saka dinala sa nagpalit yung aming shipment. Wala kang magagawa. It happens. Port and shipping delays. And do you know that the Philippines port natin is pag lating ng barko galing sa foreign, it takes for 1 week bago maka-unload. May problema na yun. Kahit sa barko, Cebu ay port, Cebu, Manila port, 3 days minimum, nandyan na yung barko, hindi makaport, hindi makadaong, hindi makapag-unload because of congestion. I don't know what's going on with the Philippine ports. Customs clearance delay, ganun din. Pandemic, yung dating 3 araw, 5 araw na clearing, 2 linggo yan. Kasi hindi pumapasok, pandemic daw eh. Na nangyari sa amin lahat yan. Port site logistics, ganun din. Or if you're working in an island, you have to understand, where you're delivering equipment, we call it the port of disembarkation. At the same time, sa mo dadalhin. Baka you need another barko to deliver equipment. For example, you're doing we did during the pandemic. We did the Camotes project for diesel plants. We had to hustle 500 tons of diesel equipment from Port of Cebu to the island of Camotes. I had to rent a barge to do that because walang commercial barko that time. Pandemic eh. So we need to run a barge. All those things you need to, because I was the APC, I was responsible to kiklear ng client, sasalawin ko sa port, dadalhin ko sa project site. And the fun part of it is there's another port and there's another island which is being done sabay, dalawang plantang ginagawa namin. So imagine there are two barges that you need to be able to manage, and at some points you need to be able to understand how to do that logistics issue as a contractor. Then cargo loader unloaded, commercial terms definition yan. Pagdating sa site, sino mag-unload? Some clients require ikaw. Some clients sabi nila, no, kami na mag-unload. Iklaro mo rin yan. Because if you are unloading a 40-ton machine, it's not a job. It's not a job. Transformer, for example, shipping weights. Kailang alam mo yung limitation mo sa sa kalsada, sa bridges. Meron yan. Yung tayo, bushing, kailangan tanggalin mo, whatever. Lalo na 69 kV, we never ship 69 kV transformer with the bushings on. Hindi ka makakadaan sa kalsada. Kahit maliit na transformer, hindi sasabit pa rin yan because of the height. So yun yung mga kailangan bantayan mo. As an EPC contractor, you must be aware of that. Okay, tapos na yata. Construction and completion risk. Project execution, management, support skills, and labor, of course, kontrolado mo yan. Equipment, tools, and machinery, kontrolado mo yan. Admin, finance, and accounting supports, nagbubuhay kayo pag mayroon tayong gano'n. Project schedule and control, L1 to L5, progress monitoring, QS, and quality surveys, report and documentaries, daily, weekly, monthly work progress. These are the things for construction completion risk. Ito yung mga bantayan mo, and hopefully, ma-manage mo yan. Kasi it's your diligence to be able to understand all of these aspects of the contract. No? So, I think that's the last slide. I hope so. And, meron ko ba? Oops, meron pa. Materials. Meal certificates, product certificates, factory test, FAT. Ingatan niyo yung FAT, factory acceptance test. Yan yung mga kuminsan na nire-require. Third-party test reports. Kung minsan yung mag-ship ka ng bakal, bibili ka ng bakal sa China, kailangan ng Philippine Customs ng SGS report doon sa port of shipment. Hindi ka makakapaglabas ng bakal pag wala kang SGS report galing sa port of shipment. So be careful of that. Workmanship, quality validation, madali yan. Methodologies and procedure manuals. So, well, submit your methodologies. They approve it. If they don't approve it within 7 days, di ma-approve yan. Mga ganun. Project closure acceptance, orderly and adequate documentation. Warranty attacks, of course, force majeure clause. Ito yung mga mitigations mo. Environmental events, force majeure clause. Health and safety, of course, you have to have a safety officer and the protocols. Now we are required. Actually, if you notice the contracts now, they require you to submit your health and safety protocols now before you can do anything. Health and safety protocols. Magsabit ka. Kasi kasama na dyan yung required ni DOLE na safety standards sa kailangan i-comply mo. Force majeure of definitions and recourse access. Anong gagawin mo pag mangyari ito? Anong gagawin mo pag mangyari yan? Yung tinatawag na force majeure that can be controlled or force majeure that cannot be or fortuitous events. Anong maging recourse actions mo? All of these things, are putting together your capability to manage your contract. So that's why I hope with these things, guys, we managed to provide you a certain amount of insights on how to do an EPC contract. Thank you. Maraming salamat po. Meron daw sa audience dito.
Thank you, fellow Adel. Very nice presentation.
Some information, technical. Yung hindi nakakilala sa akin, I'm Engineer Ron Manolio. So, I say, first person. Actually, binanggit niya kanina yung sa high voltage cable. The problem now in the Philippines. Yung manufacturer natin, wala siyang data na sinabis. That is the present problem. Yung mga 133, yung high voltage cable. Walang data secrets. Lahat American wires, tinatago nila. Yan ang isa. So, be careful on that item. Second, yung sinabi ni Sir, yung mga specifications on the contract, let's say, naka-specify IEEE, IEPC, and also type tested. Some contractors, hindi nila kinukumply yun, lalo sa Philippines. Kasi ang testing meron sa Malaysia ba o sa Indonesia, nandun lang yon. Pero here in the Philippines, wala tayong laboratory. I don't know kung si LJ, alam ko, isang product lang niya pinadala sa abroad. Kinakopy na lang yun. So, yun ang pangalawa. Ang pangatlo is going on contract. Dapat kayo mga contractor, magsa-subcon. Bago nyo kunin yung magsa-subcon kayo, you have to check if the contractors, yung GenCon, is back-to-back ang payment niya sa iyo. Baka hindi mo nabasa because last month, I've experienced isang kaibigan ko, tinanggap niya yung back-to-back payment. Binayaran siya ni owner, binayaran si GenCon, binayaran ng contractor. So, in-accept niya yun after 30 days ng payment. Pero hindi niya na-check. Yung palang GenCon are already delayed in the contract. Dapat checkin niyo yun bilang mga nagsasubcon. Delayed na pala siya. So, kumuha pa siya ng kontrata. Especially pagka some project, pagka delay ka na. Hindi babayaran yung GenCon hanggat hindi na-explain why are you delayed. So, i-explain mo yung delay mo. Yung mga force majeure, yung discuss the engineer, tama po yun. Dapat naka-write up yun. Kasi pag hindi yun naka-write up, hindi babayaran yung GenCon, lalo ikaw, the suffer. And also, pisan, may letter of, yung mga GenCon, we can receive a letter of termination, bibigyan ka ng time para mag-play. May isa akong project, 3 beses siyang terminated. Yung una, pinusider, pangala, pinusider. Yung pangatlo, hindi na, tinanggap, hindi siya honor because of some kulang sa dokumento. Wala siyang paper trick. Totoo yung sinabi ni I support. Kaya, yung mga nandito na planning to do and contracting, mag-iingat din tayo. And be careful, yung lahat na discuss na ito, tama po, Engineer Garcia. Yun lang po. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I need to address two. One for this rate, this rate, the other na po service sa slide. So, sorry lang, please.
Ito kay Mr.
Just so far. Yes po. From Engineer Laksamana. Question, sir. Yung order of possible facility. Yes. I don't understand your order, but basically, meron naman po tayo. Scope mo, meron silang raise o tax. Sabi niya doon, and other ordinances that will complete the fire operation. Yun ang kakao niya. Hindi niya na-specify. Sabi niya, hindi.
Bodies. Sino yung regulatory bodies? Kaya mo ninyo, is it a PCP or substation? or anong klase ko power plant or whatever na gusto mong regulatory building, DNR, whatever. So kailangan i-specify mo kung ano yung regulatory compliance din na kailangan i-comply mo. Otherwise, open-ended na naman yun. So for engineer na alam, ang critical measure mo yan is i-define posible condition mo kaya yung over substation na ginagawa mo, compliance with regulatory standards, specify mo kung ano compliance. Narinig ba? Hindi. Ulitin ko yung apologies kay Miss Hibe. Pasensya na po. Okay? And doon kay Engineer Laksamana, i-define mo na naman yung posible commission nung client mo kung sakaling DNR or regulatory compliances or standards or equipment solutions yan, kailangan i-define mo. Siyempre, person naman sa contract. Normally yan, don't allow yourself to be limited. Pag sabi nila, a maximum of this, don't. Kung minsan, hindi mo alam kung ano yung gusto niya. I-define mo na lang kung ano yung i-deliver mo. Since you don't know what he wants, i-define mo na lang kung i-deliver mo. Mas maganda yon. Para at least alam mo yung limits mo. Alam mo yung deliverable mo. You don't know what he wants So you better for you to define up to where you will deliver your commitments. Equipment lease or equipment or compliances to regulations. Hanggang saan lang ako? Dito lang ako. Right of way, for example. Permits. Kadalasan, itatapon sa iyo yung permit, construction permit. Be careful. Kasi most construction permit now require a land or yung land classification approval or something. Careful with that kasi di mo makukuha yon as a contractor. Kasi ang dapat kumuha ng land classification is the owner. Halimbawa, in agricultural yung lupang pinuntahan niya, ikaw ba magpapakonvert sa DAR, sa DAR? Patay ka na. Hindi ka makakakuha ng construction permit. Ingat, nangyari na yan. Buti na lang, naka-exclude sa akin yon. So, you define whatever you want to deliver. Pag hindi mo alam kung saan siya pupunta, i-define mo na lang hanggang saan ka. Mas maganda yon. And ano pa ba? Meron sa dito.
Thank you.
Inflation rate or material costs can be part of force majeure issue. Depende po. Depende kung ano yung klaseng normally ang inflation, ang ginagamit namin diyan, Indian equipment, dalawang mode of payment ang gawin mo. Isang local or onshore works, peso, kontrolado mo lahat 'yon. Yung equipment supply mo, i-offer mo as offshore contract, dollar denominated ka. Para whatever foreign currency issues mo, covered mo. You don't take the risk on foreign currency. Pero sometimes the client will say, hindi, gusto ko i-define mo yung peso na lahat yan. Ikaw na bahala mag-deliver sa akin. Basta, yes, you convert that into peso, ilagay mo sa kontrata yung conversion rate na ginamit mo. Para doon, kung magpas doon, singilin mo yung diferensya. It can work. It can work. Ang sabi ko nga, asan yung deliverable mo? Sa foreign currency, bantayan mo yan. Si Engineer Rapada, material cost on escalation. Yes, hindi mo pwedeng i-claim yan, boss. Nasa sayo yan, bantayan mo lang. Kasi pag nagkaroon ng inflation rate, unless inflationary rate becomes triple rated or double, again, from how much our inflation rate now? Are we hitting 10%? Pilipinas? I don't know. But then, inflation rate is dictated mostly by the foreign currency slide, katulad nangyayari ngayon. Nawawalan tayo ng tatawag na buying power. Kasi you need more pesos to buy $1. So you are now experiencing an unprecedented 20% increase in material costs, imported components. Kasi from 58 down to 45, 52, or 50 last year, or early this year, that's a 22, 28% slide, 24% deterioration on foreign currency alone. That directly translates to your cost, peso cost. 25% increase in cost mo kaagad. Pag hindi mo nabantayan sa kontrata mo yan, laglag ka. So that's what they call it. Well, inflation, yes, but impacts your inflation. But in a more direct way, sa EPC contract, it's more of your landed cost versus now and when you sign off your contract. And you mitigate that by fixing that foreign currency exchange na ginamit mo. I hope nasagot ko yan, Engineer Pata. No? Okay, so meron pa bang malamit dito? Thank you. Salamat po sa mga nakinig. Thank you din. And hopefully...
Sir, may tanong ako.
OTP.
Sir, may
Yes,
tanong
sir.
ako. Ano ang possible risk ng project natin sa Malaya?
Sino to? Malaya.
Arnel
Risk.
Corpus, sir. Arnel Corpus.
Oh, yes. Well, the risk, meron palang kliyente dito nakikinig. Yung foreign currency natin, ang laki ng impact sa kwan, ang laki ng impact sa cost natin.
Yes, sir. Agree.
Well, the question is, ano ang impact daw sa project natin sa Malaya? We're doing a power plant in Malaya. We're helping somebody, and we're lucky enough to be part of that project. We're installing 2x TM2500 modular gas turbines to be connected with the 115 kV grid of Moralco. And the pipe works there, sir, are costed like about siguro 24 months ago. Stainless steel pa, 306, saka 304, saka 316 ang specs. Yun sinasabi ko kanina, pipes alone had increased almost 25% just to import the pipes. Steel, 316, 306 din yung requirement ninyo sa plates. Ganun din, nag-increase din ng 25% from original price, foreign currency alone. But then the hardwares are creeping up sa China mais, mga steel bakal natin, 5% to 10% na rin. So cumulatively, straightforward, your cost of 12 months ago is already like 35% more expensive today. Straightforward. Yun ang problema natin ngayon, boss, sa Malaya. Ang laki ng cost, magkahanap kami ng paraan para ma-solve natin. Of course, yung 316 schedule 40 ninyo, pwede naman natin gamitin 10S na lang specs. 10S na lang kasi yung working pressure ng 10S is more than 300 pounds PSI. Nasa minimum 5 MPa. That's roughly about 50 bars, which is more than enough to comply. So, imbes sa schedule 40, gamitin 10S na lang schedule.
Ang galing talaga ni sir. Salamat, sir. Salamat.
Yun ang material specification mitigation. Kailangan kabisado mo, pati tubo. Kasi hindi naman pwedeng kable lang pinag-usapan na power plant pinag-usapan natin. So pati tubo, pati tangke, kailangan problemahin mo yan. Pati material specs.
Mga deliverables
mo yan.
dapat.
Deliverables mo yan. Kasi engineering and design to.
Yeah, EPC.
yan eh.
EPC.
EPC yan. Oh. Salamat po.
Salamat, sir.
Thank you, Sir Adel. Salamat po.
Salamat po. Meron pa? Tapusin na daw. Yeah, for the audience online, meron naman akong email address. I'll share this to the secretariat as like before. So, bahala na po kayo manghingi sa secretariat para normally give this away para meron naman kayong babasahin. Kung gusto niyo matulog pampatulog lang naman yan eh. Meron pa palang pahabak. For multi-billion EPC contract, how can both parties, customer and contractor, improve budget utilization while lowering costs of pilferage and safe progress? Madugo to Okay. To the question owner, there is always what we call the engineering design works prior and during the construction. Material substitution, basta as long as you comply with the specs performance requirement, pwede pinag-usapan ka na namin sa online, you can lower the material specification but yet complying with the requirement of the project. For example, pipes, naka-specify schedule 40. Ang standard pressure, working pressure mo lang naman is 150 pounds. Why do you need schedule 40, which is about 25 bars on a 1.5 inch pipe? 25 bars, which is, wow, that's 25 times 15. You don't need that. Maybe 10S lang, which is 2 inches, nasa 6, 7 bars ang rating niya, or MPa, or 70 bars ang rating niya. Pwede na. In fact, 10S is more than enough to comply with a working 150 pounder. Bihira naman ang nag-operate beyond 150 pounds na process eh. Only during you're looking for if you have a compressed air system, yan, 30 bars yan. Normally, yung starting pressure ng makina, 30 bars yan. But in any power plant that we've been dealing with, hindi mo mapas ng 10 bars. Standard yan, 10 bars. What is 150 pounds? So, 10 bars, stainless specs, 10S can do more than adequate. Nakalaga-specify a schedule 40. So, yung budget mo dyan, mahal. Ang mahal niyan, that's about 3-4 times more expensive yung 40S as against the 10S. Doon pa lang sa budget mo, you can agree with the client, but then you have to justify as a contractor. Ito yung design to calculation, blah, 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 and you can still comply. Okay yan, nangyayari yan, and we've done that before. For a turnkey construction project, only does permitting with LGU and a part of project scope. Yes po. Kung minsan, yung construction permit, yung nabanggit ko kanina, yung construction permit, kailangan mong gawin, but i-qualify mo. Ikaw lang ang legwork. Kasi hindi mo kayang i-deliver yung documentation ng client na applicant. Hindi naman ikaw na contractor ang applicant eh. Make sure that it's clear to the client that that permit, the contractor is not the applicant. It is the client. Therefore, all the documentations like ownership, land titles, whatever clearances relating to the site has to be provided for by the client. Otherwise, patay ka. Hindi mo makukuha ang permit mo. So number 3, what is the way forward in a ROW issue on access roadway going to the tower, all site in the middle of nowhere? Heavy equipments. Well, normally po, ang ROW, bato mo sa client. They should worry that. And in all our projects, sila po yung gumagawa ng ROW. Both temporary and permanent. Yung temporary access at saka yung permanent ROW. Yung linya, yung tawag namin yung corridor ng transmission line, saka yung towers mo, permanent yan. Pero yung access mo, temporary ROW yan. Makakasira ka check ng mga tanim dyan. Paghatak mo ng mga kable, ay ng mga poste. Okay, salamat.